I actually need to close the door. Like, the bathroom fan is on.
That's fine, it's just so long as you don't stop recording. And don't stop believing.
Don't stop.
Hold on to that feeling, Sam, because it's time for Kamen Rider. Welcome to Brokusatsu, two brothers' exploration of tokusatsu shows and related media. I'm Harry.
I'm Sam, and I apologize for getting the main character's name during the previous episode every single time.
I thought you were getting it right. What were you calling it?
Well, it's not so much that I got it wrong, it's that I don't think I said the main character's name once last episode because I had no idea what it was. I think I have it now.
You didn't know Shotaro.
Oh shit, that's his name? I had Hidari written down in my notes.
Hidari Shotaro. That's his last name and first name.
Okay, so if I call him Hidari, is that right or is that wrong?
It's right, although it's either very rude or basically means you're dating.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, so what's his name now?
Japanese names. So the first name is the family name, but it's also the one you refer to people by most of the time, unless you're very close to them.
Okay, so what is his name?
His name is Shotaro Hidari. You'd probably just call him Shotaro-san.
Shotaro.
I mean, we're in America, so we'll just call him Shotaro. I'm not gonna call everybody San and Chan and stuff.
Shotaro. Okay. I probably won't say that this episode either. That's what I'll apologize for next episode.
I'm sure you'll have many things to apologize for next episode.
Me too.
It's the constant cycle of getting things wrong and apologizing at next episode. Just think, that's the rule for this show. If we ever go a whole episode without getting something wrong, there's no more apologies and we can be free. But that's never going to happen. It's our Sisyphean task. And today, in our eternal hellscape of media, we watched Don't Touch the M, episodes 3 and 4 of Kamen Rider Devil.
Yay. Jumping into episodes 3 and 4, we are picking up kind of where the previous episodes left off.
It had a last time on. Children's tokusatsu show actually has enough of a plot to justify it last time on. Good for it.
The three main characters have settled into their groove in the new detective's office.
Shotaro is monologuing to himself,
as I suspect he will do at the start of every odd-numbered episode this season.
Meanwhile, Akiko has been putting the gang to work, actually doing the kind of detective work you get done these days, finding lots of lost dogs.
The Kamen Rider is quickly menaced by an evil, fluffy puppy.
It's a cute dog.
It is a very cute dog. There's also the introduction of a radio host at this point, who makes a couple appearances this episode. I'm not entirely sure if this is world building or the introduction of a new main character, but I guess we'll see that as the show goes on.
Oh, okay, this is funny, because you didn't recognize the radio host. Okay.
What?
Okay, so we'll get into it later. There's some rare emotion from Philip, as he's a huge fan of this, I think it's called Healing Radio.
Yes, Healing Radio with Princess Wakanda.
Today they are dealing with a rumor about Million Coliseum, a secret gambling hall somewhere in the city where people can win and lose fortunes in the blink of an eye.
It in fact seems like many people are winning fortunes at this casino, which...
Yeah, for a secret underground casino run by a super evil gangster, it may actually be fairly reasonable games.
Watching this episode, it didn't seem like any of the games were rigged at all in this secret underground evil casino, which, I mean, if you're going to be running an underground casino, that's the entire point. You rig some of the games so that you guarantee that the house makes back some money. And with all the people who are walking away with, like, huge fortunes from this underground secret casino, like, you really gotta question just the business model of the person who's putting this on. I'm not going to make this entire show just like a diatribe against capitalism, but there are some very weird business and capitalistic undertones going on in Kamen Rider this time.
In terms of small business, a married couple that own a bakery, show up at the detective agency and beg Akiko and the rest of the detectives to investigate their daughter. Which brings us into the intro. Sam, did you actually watch the intro this time?
I forgot that I was going to do that, so...
Sam? There was a whole thing last time where I was excited about how we...
That was a week ago, Harry. That was a week ago. What do you expect me to remember after a week? I'm going to forget next week, too.
If we ever run out of things for you to apologize about, you can apologize for not fucking watching the intro.
No, I will never feel sorry about that.
You should watch it at least a couple times. It's a good one.
It's an intro.
I'm not going to go into a whole spiel about why intros are an important part of shows, how they're kind of like a shorthand summation of the style and the format of the show. And this one does very well at that.
Okay.
It's like the JoJo intros.
I don't watch those either.
You got a lot of stuff to apologize for. We enter the story of Mishimi Yuko, who is the daughter of the married couple, and she has gotten caught up in gambling.
Yeah, there was kind of an awkward translation on the dub that I was watching. It kind of sounded like she had turned into the casino on the translation that I was going with, which would have made for a very different episode.
Help! Our daughter has transformed into a giant building.
I mean, not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah, that might actually... I'll try to think if that actually happens at some point in the show. It'd be a cool story.
So, a casino, like the drive of money, has turned a sweet daughter of a couple owning a bakery into a spoiled one-percenter.
Why would she ever turn away from being the big draw at a dumpling restaurant?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound creepy at all.
The exploited family labor.
Yeah, instead she's out slapping diamond store owners for not having better diamonds and just going around yelling at people.
If she's turned her, presumably, like, under-the-table, cut-rate family wages into, like, an income at a casino that could actually sustain a 1% lifestyle, kind of more power to her.
Gambler's ruin, and you'll always go bankrupt sometime.
I suppose so, but...
This isn't an episode about teaching people how to be a professional gambler as a affordable lifestyle.
Now, for fishing for clues on this casino, Kamen Rider and Akiko, they go and meet up with the creepy guy from the previous episode.
Watcher Man, and you're just gonna be calling him Kamen Rider, huh? So that's how we're gonna deal with this?
Shitaro? It's Shitaro? Okay.
Yes.
I think it's Shitaro.
I can write down on a piece of paper the names of some of the main characters and just put it in front of you when you record an episode, if that helps.
Honestly, that would be really helpful.
Well, your birthday's coming up.
I want to reiterate to the listeners, I'm not faking this. Like, I'm basically name blind. Like, some people are face blind. I'm name blind. There are people in my office that I've worked with for better part of a decade. I have no idea what their names are. I know about their families. I know about their lives. If you put a gun to my head, I could not guess their names.
It's probably at least somewhat genetic. I have a similar thing. Yesterday, me and Sam were helping run an event, and I needed to get something done, and everybody said, oh, Tron's the guy to talk to about that. And even though I've helped the same small group of people, about a dozen people, run multiple events, I don't know who Tron is. I just know everybody by the faces. So I had to just keep going around to rooms with people who I'm pretty sure wasn't Tron and asking them until somebody pointed me in the right direction.
You knew enough of the names where you could process of elimination it down to the right person.
I just kept asking the Asian guy because I'm pretty sure that Tron is not an Asian name.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what ethnicity Tron would point to.
He's kind of the bald English guy, turns out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Watcher Man. He is basically just an otaku blogger. He takes photos of people around people in just places around the city and puts it on the internet.
Now, for the sake of just kind of cultural relativity, he's supposed to be creepy, right? Like, that is the point of his character, to be creepy?
Not like creepy, but like kind of kooky, and he's a bit of he's a character actor, He's got one of those faces where he's not going to be the pretty boy main character.
It is around this time that Philip has his first freak out of the episode when someone mentions families.
Yes, at the very concept of family basically blue screens Philip as the word rattles around in his brain and he gets stuck in a loop of vague figures on a beach.
Philip and Shitaro have been friends for a year at this point. Like, they've been inside each other's minds at this point. Has Shitaro never asked Philip about his family? Because it seems like everyone is kind of shocked when Philip just completely loses it at mention of that very common word.
I don't know, man. All I know is they show up to the place of somebody else who was known to go to Millie Coliseum. He had some luck, but now everybody on his house has these big red noses on it, which I assume is Japanese for, foreclosed or like sold, stuff like that. He's just laughing hysterically to himself on the floor, saying that he'd lost it all, but he can win it back, he swears.
And it's at this point that we meet the villain of the episode, I believe, right?
You may feel a little bit better about this. I don't know this guy's name either. I just keep calling him the Money Dopant.
Yes, the Money Dopant. And I'll say this for the actor: when the actor transforms into the Dupont, he looks like less of a bad guy.
He does good body work, and he's got this crazy haircut. He works the whole outfit to be the perfect sleazy casino owner. But instead, he gains the ability to transform into a terrifying, slightly pudgy monster with very, very weak combat abilities.
Yeah, this is a monster design that was clearly designed to put as many punch pads on the stunt artist as possible so they could just kind of roll around and not worry about any kind of bruises or abrasions.
Later on, Kirihiko mentions that this was a very expensive memory that the Money Dopant bought, and this may be the weakest Dopant in all of the show.
He also doesn't really do anything with it. Like, what is the point of him even being a Dupont? His plan is to steal people's life essences in his casino. He doesn't need to be a monster to do that.
We'll speculate a little bit later when he reveals what some of his powers were. But for now, he gets worked over by Shotaro and Philip as they transform into Commander and Double. Philip takes a little second to kind of break out of his freeze-up panic attack type thing. But Double is warded off by a blast from a mysterious figure who de-transforms into Kirihiko, who's performing a little bit of extra service for his customers.
Yes, the DuPont drug dealer has a very customer-focused mindset. He is the best salesman on the show.
Customer support, he's great about it. You can call him anytime. He's there to fight vigilantes for you. Mm-hmm. And he is a little concerned that Double appears to be using at least 3 memories that he has never heard of. He goes back to his fiancée, Seiko, and is kind of asking her about it, like saying that I feel like I should know a bit more as I'm getting deeper and deeper into this organization. Seiko basically warns him off by saying, we're about to get married, so you should be more concerned with getting deeper and deeper into me. Mm-hmm. Wakana walks through the room and hates both of them. Yay, family.
The fiancés, they seem to really love each other and enjoy each other's company. Like, I'm kind of rooting for them.
Yeah, they're a cute couple. Then the cuts to Yuko being terrible to her family. It's a whole theme in this episode. Yeah, she barges into the house, kind of steals what I think is the checkbook, saying that she'll be able to win it back 100 times over, she swears. Akiko grabs her, saying that Millie Castillo is a terrible place, and Yuko says, yeah, because it's run by an inhuman monster. I know, everybody knows. He's really obvious about it. He loves showing off his terrible, terrible memory. People try not to laugh as they win money off of him.
It's a very progressive city. Like, I mean, everyone is cool with business owners being monsters. Everyone seems to be cool with buildings melting and people dying left and right. With the amount of just destruction and collateral damage that is implied in this town right now, you would think that they would not be great about someone being a monster.
Maybe the rent is just really low.
I have thoughts about, like, the building and construction industry in this town, but we'll get to those later.
She dashes off, saying that she bets Shotaro and Akiko don't even know how to get to Millen Coliseum. And Shotaro realizes, oh, there's a bit of a secret here, because Yuko was able to instantly disappear from their side a bit earlier when they were shadowing her.
It's not a big secret. It turns out that there's just a bus that goes around town and picks people up and goes to the casino.
It's not a terrible idea. If there was a bus with, like, not in service on its big light thing, I would probably ignore it 99% of the time.
Not to mention, like, buses going to casinos is basically the business model of all the local casinos in Washington State. They just drive by the retirement homes, pick up people, and bring them back at night. Stuffed with buffet and checkbooks, very much lighter.
Yeah. Shotaro tracks down this bus route by going to the radio station and looking at the locations of all the letters and the places where they cited people who were dealing with this Millen Coliseum. The cops.
It's Angry Cop and Back Scratcher Cop.
Makura and Jin.
That is a back scratcher, right?
Oh yeah, that is.
Okay. It's a very weirdly shaped piece of plastic, and I was hoping it was a back scratcher because the other options were not great.
It's ergonomic. They have a pretty good relationship, again, offering to share information with each other, but they are dazzled as Wakana herself shows up into the room. And everybody goddamn loves Wakana. She is a idol in the city. Mm-hmm. And Sam, really, you haven't figured it out by this point?
Is that one of the evil daughters?
Yeah, like, it's the same name, Wakana.
Is it?
Kirihiko, later in one of the scenes, says, hey, I listened to your radio show, it was great. And Wakana says, "Oh, you're fucking trying to just blow smoke up my ass, aren't you?" And storms out.
Okay, now here's where my name blindness really kicks me in the ass, right?
Yeah, because Wakana is so hard to distinguish from Wakana.
Wait, it's a different name?
No, it's not. That's the point.
Oh. Also, I think I've been calling her Princess Wakanda.
That's because Black Panther was a brilliant movie and everyone loves it.
Mm-hmm.
Shotaro kind of tries to give her his business card, and he tries to be smooth. She is apparently really great at dealing with the public, as she is able to smile long enough to get out of their sight before tearing the card angrily in half and just moving on with her life.
So she's one of the daughters of the evil rich family. That blows me away. That definitely throws a couple wrenches in my thoughts of where the plot was going.
She's got depth. She has a part-time job.
But anyway, it is time to track down the bus to the evil casino. Akiko, she steals some of the super secret spy tech from Kamen Rider Guy, sneaks on the bus, and there is a brief and ineffectual fight, and then they are separated. And I believe that's the act break to episode 2.
Yeah, as the episode ends, Double is about to knock Money out, but Money mentions the word family. Philip has another one of his freak out episodes where half of his body stops working, and Money unleashes his strongest attack on Double, and the episode ends. Episode 4 starts, betting on Joker, and Double just stands up, having taken the strongest attack of Money with no apparent effect, and starts wondering why Philip is not doing so well with the word family. Like, literally, he was standing perfectly still. Money did his strongest attack on him. He apparently fell down and just stood back up.
Yeah.
Philip is back at their underground secret base and having a big mood, just kind of freaking out, throwing things around. He is trying to search in the guy memory for information about his family, but all he gets is a book with the insides ripped out.
Now, is that the book for his family specifically, or for any family at all?
It's the book for his family specifically. He is able to get information about families in general, but as you'll see over the course of the show, occasionally specific pieces of information are damaged or locked in certain ways.
Now, we did get a brief flashback to him walking, or to presumably a very young Philip walking on a beach with a nice, middle-class family, all dressed in white, before they inevitably, tragically die. Or possibly turn evil. There is that chance as well. Wait, is it the evil rich family?
What? Maybe. Shut up.
How many sisters? How many sisters did Philip have? I'm just putting this together live.
There was a man, a woman, 2 girls, and a young boy.
Was there a cat?
Maybe. I'm not sure how old the cat is.
So Philip might be a part of the evil family. Or probably is, based on your reaction. Okay. More pieces falling into place.
Yeah, Akiko is using the super stealthy bat camera to fly around at the casino and take photos. People don't notice this. She drags Yuko away from a bet, probably costing her a lot, because I think if you leave the table in the middle of cards being put out, you probably fold, right?
No, it's not cards. They're not playing cards. They're playing roulette.
No,
it's a roulette wheel.
At that point, she was doing a card thing, but she soon...
No, she wasn't doing a card thing. She put all her money on 13 black.
That's later, when the money DuPont... Apparently, every night, he allows somebody who's won a lot to challenge him head-to-head. And yeah, they do head-to-head roulette, which doesn't make a lick of sense.
Unless it's like both people bet, and they have to pick a specific number, and if no one gets it, both people get their money back. I guess you could kind of do it that way. But roulette is just a straight randomization engine.
They were both betting, but I don't know. They were betting on specific numbers. It wasn't even like one of them goes even, one of them goes odd, or one of them goes red, one of them goes black. They were going on like specific numbers. So, and it's the owner of the casino. If she goes 13 red and he goes 22 black, and it's 3 red, what happens? Do they just sit there? Do they just roll over?
I mean, if it's fair, then yeah, it would roll over. Then they would both sit there. But who knows? Who knows? She's going up against a house.
The point is
a very honest house, an oddly honest house.
Maybe this guy he did get rich through gambling. He's some kind of billionaire who inherited it all, and he's just insane and drawing people in and killing them. Because Yuko, she loses it all as Philip is able to see it coming. He's got that beautiful mind thing, and he can predict the outcome of a roulette wheel by just observing the movement of the ball and the turning of the thing. She loses all her money, and the money dopant rips her soul out of her body and puts it in a coin. Because he's just
with a USB stick on it. The true universal attachment.
Yeah, he's just a big fan of Darby the Gambler. He thought that was a great arc, and he just wanted to reenact that.
This actually brought to mind an episode of... Do you remember the Jessica Alba-led Dark Angel TV series that was on Fox in the 90s?
No. I remember a little bit of it.
You remember that it existed.
The only thing I remember about it is that they were kind of progressive, is that they had one of the main characters be in a wheelchair, but then later they introduced an exosuit and instantly, solved that problem away, so it wasn't progressive anymore.
Yeah, pretty much the only thing I remember about the show is that there was an episode where she could call numbers on a roulette wheel.
Yeah, and she could also figure out the numbers on a touch-tone phone, which was a superpower that came in use. That was probably a more useful superpower than anything money has.
Yeah, if this guy wasn't a DuPont, is there really anything he's doing illegal? I guess it is a secret casino, so he's probably not paying taxes or any kind of fees to the local city government.
It's probably illegal to have gambling in that city. I think that's much less common in Japan. But yeah, the only real use of his DuPont powers is saving him the trouble of having to call someone in from another room to kill them when they can't pay off their debts.
Now, are they dead, or they're able to put the life force back into them, correct?
They're able to... No, you can return it. They deal with that later on in the episode. After he rips the life out of the coin, Akiko just runs up and smacks him on the head with a shoe. And there's a great shot, because Shotaro and Philip are watching this on the bat camera, and Shotaro's like, Akiko, no! But Philip in the background literally grins and shrugs and is like, that's my Akiko. We cut to the wedding, where Seiko's, all in her wedding dress.
It's a lovely wedding.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great function. Kirihiko's walking down the stairs. The father, whose name is Ryubi, by the way, he says, "Oh yeah, you ruined my daughter. I feel like I gotta take a shot at you, huh?" And Kirihiko's laughs good-heartedly. Then Ryubi pulls out his memory, and Kirihiko starts shitting himself and staggering away because Ryubi has this... They don't get into it in this episode, but he's got some serious powers. He says that the members of my family are destined to be the city's, no, mankind's rulers, and you have to have mastered your power properly, or else you are not worthy of marrying my daughter.
I mean, that's fair. The guy's got a goal.
He's got standards,
And he seems to really care for his family.
Yeah, he's the best father ever. Wakana, because she's still just a little pissed with things in general, decides that she's gonna do the fighting instead. She does an entirely unnecessary thing where she activates her memory, throws it in the air, puts her belt on backwards, jumps off something, and the memory hits her in the back, transforming, and she is now in her clay doll form.
She tries to kill the drug dealer for a while, fails to do so, which impresses the father. The new family member earns the respect of his father-in-law, which is all you can ever really ask for.
Philip calls money. He offers to gamble with their guy memories on the line for the life of Akihiko and also all the coins that he has collected over, so that they can save the life of Yuko and presumably everybody else, although, depending on how long it was since he pulled the life memory out of them, do you think there's a lot of people who woke up in graves or morgues or stuff like that?
When you lose your life force, I'm not entirely clear what happens. Are you dead? Are you, vegetative? Are these people on life support in hospitals? Have people pulled the plug? Who's down? Also, what was he using this life force for?
Mostly just collateral, seems to not get beaten up. That's the only use this power has. Hey, technically I have some lives that will get destroyed if you beat me up, so you can't beat me up. His guy memory could also just be a grenade with a pin taken out and him holding it up. We all die. We all die together.
There's some gambling. Philip is able to call the numbers on the roulette wheel. Did I skip something?
Very briefly, we meet another character that will actually become recurring, Santa. Santa shows up, Sam.
Oh, that's right, Santa. Fucking weird Santa. Is that a cultural thing? Is there a beachwear Santa that appears around Japan and gives people things?
I mean, Christmas is a different holiday in Japan. There's a lot less emphasis on the Christianity and a lot more emphasis on KFC chicken for various reasons. But this guy is just, he's a man in jean shorts running around giving presents to young children and orphans, and I swear it's a lot more innocent than it sounds. He's actually a nice guy. It's perfectly fine. Says, "Hey, Shotaro, nice to see you. Good to see you're doing good." Gives him a gift because I'm not sure it was made clear in the previous episode. Shotaro is actually an orphan who grew up basically alone in the city. So this is just a sign that he's still hanging out with a lot of the people he met on the streets.
And Shotaro appreciates the present and says that Santa always gives him useful things before he runs away, presumably because there's a no contact order with him and some of the children.
Yeah, some cops probably show up. We're like, oh my god, we gotta get him.
He's back. He's escaped.
You have to be 1,000 meters from this area, sir. Time to gamble. We have more head-to-head roulette action. Philip is just roundly beating the villain. The villain does not even... He doesn't even do the thing where he starts cheating. Like, there's never a point where he presses a secret button and the ball... Philip is like, oh, the ball's movement changed. No, he's about to lose, and he's just sitting there sweating. It's like, man, you're really good. Why are you doing this? Did someone's family put you up to this? And then Philip starts, backflipping with trauma because someone said the word family.
Yeah, I just need to emphasize, the villain was playing it straight. He's broken so few laws, he's done so little wrong this episode, and his monster power is so wildly ineffective. He's more dangerous as a casino owner.
So Philip starts tilting, and he starts losing hard. Flip back to the Sonozaki wedding, the most blessed family in the world. You can tell because for groomsmen, they have 2 anonymous henchmen, and for bridesmaids, they have Wakana and a cat.
Yeah, it appeared that the wedding party was made up entirely of housekeepers and other just, assorted helpers from around the house.
I mean, when you start doing your transformation into final villain monsters middle ceremony, the guest list has to be kept kind of small.
Except for the priest. Do you think they killed the priest immediately after this? Although, he seemed pretty chill about the whole monster transformation thing.
He's probably an old family friend. I wish that the priest showed back up some kind of priest dopant, but sadly, I don't think that happens.
Darn.
Yeah. Back in the casino, Shotaro says that it's time to do his job because he's going to take on the money dopant in Old Maid. This is totally going to work. And the game starts and immediately stops working because as a master of gambling, he's able to read the hand motions and kind of thoughts and intentions of the other player, perfectly figure out where all the cards are and set things up so the opponent takes exactly the cards you get. So this was a terrible job.
Also, this was something he was able to do as a baseline human. No powers necessary.
Yeah, he's just a very talented man. But as Shotaro says, it's 80% of a man's job to be decisive. Everything after that is just gravy.
And he takes the final trick on Old Maid. I haven't played Old Maid in quite some time. I thought it was a trick-taking game.
No, I think it's just you have a set of cards and you basically need to make pairs with other cards and eliminate them. When everybody is done making pairs, whoever has the Old Maid at the end, the Joker, is the loser. It gets down to a point where Shotaro has 1 ace and the money guy has an ace and a Joker. And Money Dupont says, I know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to pick the Joker, then I'll take your ace and it'll be done. But Shotaro, he enacts his plan because he does a big old stage wink. And he reaches out for it, but then his other hand, his right hand, flies out and picks the other card than the one he was going to, because he has sneakily put on the double driver. This was actually foreshadowed pretty well in an earlier scene, when him and Philip were talking just telepathically without moving their lips, because as long as they're wearing the double driver, they have linked minds. So he used this to basically just get completely countered the opponent's... He got down to this point, and then he was able to counter the opponent's thing because whatever card he wasn't going to pick was the right one. So Philip just read him and picked that one. What I said made that explanation makes sense, right?
I think at some point there you made a little bit of sense. In the editing process, I'm sure the truth will come out.
Philip was going to pick the wrong card. Nope. Okay. Shotaro was going to pick the wrong card. The point is that the Money Dupont loses. He freaks out and he decides to instead try to fight him as a monster. And this fight does not last very long.
It really does not. Although I'll say this, Philip really needs to start lying down before these fights. I'm seeing him just collapse in a heap every time, and he's on hardwood. He'll be on metal grating, and he just face plants onto the ground. He really needs to stop doing that. Like, that can't be good for his body.
He's gonna end up with that, like, wrestler footballer's disease from all the concussions he gets. Money at mid-fight, he tries just yelling the word family at Philip because he's kind of figured out the tell. But Philip, by this point, has realized that he has a family, and it's Shotaro and Akiko. And there's a heartwarming moment as Money is kicked to the curb. Shotaro says that the cops can handle the rest, which, how do you think the cops wrote up the list of charges here?
I mean, the only thing they probably got him on is tax evasion for the casino.
Well,
But,
I mean,
that's enough to keep him away for quite some time.
you say only tax evasion, but tax evasion law is, like, terrible. Like, the average sentencing for tax evasion, at least in America, is worse than the average sentencing for murder.
It's true. It's true.
Capitalism is the ultimate monster in society, Sam.
The episode ends with Princess Wakanda talking about Kamen Rider on her show. She is apparently a fan, or is she not? Dun dun dun. I guess she's the villain. I probably should have caught that sooner.
Well, she just deals in rumors around the city, you know? And now people are starting to figure out that there's somebody protecting them. So, what did you think, Sam?
I mean, it was an episode 2. It was a world-building episode. The villain was exceptionally lame, but apart from that, it was, it was entertaining.
The money to pod is not super threatening. It was just kind of setting up stuff about the Sonozaki family and the setting and the powers of everybody.
And hey, we got a little bit of that. It was, a holding pattern episode, and sometimes you need those.
It's a lot less fillery than some other episodes are going to be, sadly, I could say. Kamen Rider, it's a show that it has a plot, it does interesting things over the course of a year, but it is going to fill a year no matter what, and occasionally you get you get some arcs that are just a bit boring. But at least they can entertain you in the meantime.
Now on to the questions, I believe. Here's the question I had just about the show in general. Like, I guess I have a logistics question this time. How do they handle the Kamen Rider costumes? Like, behind the scenes? Do they have, like, a different costume for each possible iteration?
I think so, yeah.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Like, dealing with suits in Toku is a nightmare, especially because it's something that has occasionally affected the plot in huge ways. The shows, they're designed for various reasons, because they got tied with the toys and also the artistic feel of the people, but eventually it has to get down to putting somebody in the suit and doing lots of stunts and fights in it, and occasionally the suits get damaged, and, like, over the course of the show you can see, like, repairs and stuff in them, and they actually have to do stuff like changing out the suits earlier because the suits are getting too damaged and things like that, and not able to deal with that. I think that happened in Gaim, where kind of the middle form for the main character, Tokimeki Arms, or not Kachidoki Arms, Takachidoki Arms, had to be transferred.
I know what that means.
Yeah, had to be transferred to the super mode early because it was just it was big and heavy and was falling apart fast. And in other situations, the suits turn out to be really uncomfortable to do. Like, Kiva is a suit that has a big chest piece, and I heard that the suit actor was actually having trouble breathing when that was on, and he was starting to pass out mid-shooting and things like that, so they, again, had to just change it around so the super mode was easier to move in, and use that for most of the rest of the fights.
Still, though, like, props to the costume people. Like, if they literally have, a different costume or possibly multiple copies of each costume for each iteration, that's a task, and they nailed it.
It's one of the major special effects in the show, so even if they gotta make 9 different Kamen Rider suits, as they do for this one, then that's what they're gonna do.
For a couple of the transformations, it almost looked like they did a quick CGI palette swap, when he's transforming mid-fight, so they can keep it kind of flowing and dynamic.
Oh yeah. Like, you can do that easily with Double when it's just largely color-based on the sides. When they get a bit more intense in forms, like I think later with Build has got to be a goddamn nightmare, because I think at this point, there's like 60 different bottles, which means 30 different modes for each side. So there's a lot less combinations on the show than there's theoretically possible. And mostly they stick to kind of specific pairs with them, like best matches. And those ones, the sides aren't even like the same shape. They change and have specific powers and stuff.
I wonder how they handled the toys for this season. Do you think the action figures, like, split in half, or did they sell, like, 20 different... So, how many different memory units do they have? Like, we could do the math here.
It's 9, because there's 3 for each side. At least for now.
It's 3 for each side, so 9 different permutations.
at least I think for Kamen Rider and shows like that, the main toys are actually replica belts and memories. Like they do have like the toys of like action figures and things like that, figure arts. But the main thing is that you can actually get your own little memories and transformation belts that you press the buttons and they make the accurate sounds, and you do like the motions, it'll do the little jingles and actually say the things.
You could get bat camera drones.
Yeah, probably not actually flying, but you could get a little USB stick with a button on it that says bat.
Hey, drone technology is advancing very quickly. I bet you could find a flying one of those.
Maybe that'd be an interesting kit bash. So that was your kind of, I guess that was like your philosophical question, because the plaid question you had for the radio lady got scrambled by the fact that you didn't realize she was one of the other characters.
I don't know. Hey, I learned that in the middle of this episode.
You know what? That's fine. It's live TV.
I'm name blind, and she changed her hair radically between shots. Like, if she had walked out of the radio station with those two mega buns, I probably would have figured it out.
Well, here's a question that we can deal with a bit more basically. A lot of people in this episode seem super comfortable going to a secret underground casino that is being run by an inhuman monster that will suck the souls out of patrons just on the middle of the show floor after they lose a game. But businesses and like events and things like that, would you be totally fine going to if you knew they were being run by some kind of hybrid beast that consumed patrons?
Well, the NFL immediately springs to mind. Ba-dum-bum. You gotta look at the monster again. Like, what was he really doing with his monster powers? As a monster, was he really a monster? Like, sure, there was the soul sucking, but aside from that, and really, like, everyone who he sucked the soul from, they kind of knowingly went into the situation.
He even gave her the option at that point. He said, like, do you want to bet your life at this point? You know, it'll give you some more money, and you get the chance to win a lot more at this stage. If she'd said no, then she would have just been in debt, and, I mean, that's shitty, but he doesn't seem to be cheating.
Yeah, he was a very honest and consent-driven monster.
Like, if it's not fair, I mean, you could go to, like, the tabletop tournaments we like going to, and things like that, RPG game days. Just, we go there, and the GM happens to be a giant dopant of some sort.
A giant fluffy monster. Just made of nothing but pillows and pads.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that. That would be an improvement over some GMs.
Do you think tournaments run by a dopant would be a lot better about setting up matches and also, like, rulings about stuff like that?
Is there, like, a logistics or, like, a planning memory?
There almost certainly is.
Is there a spreadsheet memory? Like, I would want that person in charge of my organization, Harry. Make them a monster. Make them the master of spreadsheets.
Just imagine, you're doing War Machine, your opponent is trying to do something with measuring, and you dispute it, so you make the call, the judge comes over, he says you're in the right, and he just grabs your opponent and eats him right in front of you. Wouldn't that be great?
It kinda would.
Maybe we've learned that we're the real monsters here, Sam.
Isn't that always the case? Also capitalism. Well, does that wrap it up?
I think that does for episode 2. Episode 3, there's a bit meatier plot, I think, so we should be able to get something out of that. And also, the villains are more effective. Although it's still early show, so they're not going to be, like, heavy hitters yet.
Well, I can't imagine how they would be less effective. Maybe if they, like, broke their USB stick immediately upon the entry of the episode, and they were just running around as humans for the rest of it.
Watch out, Kamen Rider, I've got the suicide memory. Suicide! He sticks it in and then just falls over. Then Shotaro just stands there looking sad. Should I do a memory break? I don't know. There's some things even a Kamen Rider can't fix. Yeah, okay. It's time to end this, Sam.
Alright, goodbye.
One last question. So, for Brokusatsu episode... This is episode 2, right? Yeah, episode 2. Next time, Brokusatsu episode 3. I'll just look up the title real quick. What is it? Oh, The Girl A. For next time, Sam, are you ready to get back into local politics?
Oh god, please no. No. No.
Too late.